welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be reviewing the 2019 movie, New Year, New Us. This movie was written and directed by Nina Stacks and stars Kellen Marcus, Erica Ward, Courtney Gray, and DeAndre Freeman. This is going to be a longer review, so go get your snacks, get your drink, get your boo, put the kids to sleep, and let's go ahead and get into this review. The movie begins and we meet Bakari King, played by Kellen Marcus, and Imani King, played by Erica Ward. The two are getting ready for a New Year's Eve party, and Bakari is admiring his wife, Imani, but she has an attitude. She doesn't really want to go to this party because she feels like Bakari, we'll just call him BK because that's what he's called through the rest of the movie, is not spending enough time with her and focusing too much on his career.
You've been in your zone since we got married. We haven't even went on a honeymoon yet because you in your zone. But you know something? I'm gonna play the happy wife tonight.
You gonna play the happy wife? Or you gonna be the happy wife?
We see Imani and BK leave the party, and Imani still has an attitude. She gets in the car and she asks BK why they can't have a baby. BK gives her excuse after excuse on why it's not their timing and why they can't have a baby, but Imani is not trying to hear it. BK suggests that Imani probably get a job, but Imani had to remind him that she had a boutique when they met, and he's the reason that she shut it down. So BK then comes up with another excuse to give Imani.
Okay, look, Imani. I want to have a baby. But I mean, we've been, married a year? Can't we just, enjoy each other first?
Imani is not trying to hear those excuses. She wants to know why it's crazy that she wants to have a baby with her husband. BK then gets defensive and yells he's not ready. Just then, in the midst of their argument, a robber opens the door and throws Imani out of the car. He gets into the car with BK and forces him to take off all of his jewelry. The robber then gets a little too cocky and looks back at Imani and taunts her, asking her what she has to give. While he's doing this and while he's distracted, BK fights for his weapon and pretty much the lives of him and his wife, and the weapon goes off. The robber runs away and BK throws the weapon out of the vehicle, shaken up. After Imani sees that BK is okay, she goes off on him, saying, "Why would you do something like that? He could have hurt you." BK was just trying to protect himself and protect his wife. And I don't blame him. That's what a man is supposed to do, protect his woman. But from here, I guess the robbery kind of makes them appreciate each other more. And there's a whole montage. It's like a whole 15 minutes of them doing what they do as husband and wife. And for YouTube guidelines, we're not even going to get into that. So I forgot to mention that in that whole montage, while they were doing what they do, BK decided that life is too short and they should try for a baby. So we fast forward to a month later and Imani's taking a pregnancy test. And unfortunately, she's not pregnant. So from this point on, she pretty much wants it anywhere she can get it. At any time she can get it. And this is starting to wear on BK and starting to tire him out a little bit. With everything going on at home and Imani wanting it day and night, BK decides to go into work on the weekend. He's spotted by his friend Cyrus, played by Courtney Gray, and pretty much just confides in him everything that's going on and how Imani is wearing him out. When it comes to Cyrus, he comes with the jokes. And boy, does he got some good jokes for BK.
I feel that. So basically, you can't hang. Wait, you getting old, bro. I'm just saying, you need me to get you some ginseng or something? I mean, I do got the plug on the little blue pill. We need to rock the boat, dog. Cyrus. What?
Cyrus is a trip, and I will admit he's the comedy relief in this movie. He was just trying to give BK a little bit of advice, but BK wasn't trying to hear it and pretty much told him, "Get away from my table." So Imani wakes up and discovers BK is not in the bed. Child, she got this man sneaking in the house because she will not give him a break. She goes into the living room to find BK knocked out on the sofa. She wakes him up and is trying to pretty much take it. BK is telling her he's tired and he doesn't have the energy to give her what she needs. But for Imani, it's either you gonna give it to me or I'm gonna take it at this point. BK agrees and she tells him to meet her in the bedroom. Basically, he gets a swift kick of energy from hopefully some coffee that he drunk, and he heads into the bedroom after her. We then see BK at a coffee shop reading a book, and without noticing, his new assistant Tatiana, played by Amber Rain Smith, walks into the door. Tatiana introduces herself to BK, and BK is a little confused and taken aback, but we later find out that Cyrus hired her, and that's why BK didn't know anything about her. Imani decided to get all dressed up and go take her husband to lunch, but when she walks into the little shop, she is pissed at what she sees, and we all knew that this was going to happen, especially with Imani. Imani quickly makes herself over to BK and Tatiana and establishes that she's his wife. She's giving Tatiana all types of attitude, and BK introduces them, and Tatiana throws a little shade herself.
Imani, this is Tatiana, my new intern. Tatiana, this is my wife, Imani.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were married. Hi.
Child, the shade of it all. You know Imani wanted to snatch Tatiana up, but she didn't. Tatiana then leaves and creepily looks at BK's social media while she's standing outside like she's plotting and planning. We go back into the coffee shop and Imani is fuming. She's letting BK know her feelings and how she feels about Tatiana. BK lets her know that Tatiana is qualified for the position and Cyrus hired her anyway. Once Imani hears that Cyrus hired her, that explains everything for her. She's still going off and getting loud with BK, and BK tells her to lower her voice. She gets even louder, and this pisses BK off, and he pretty much walks out. Which I don't blame him, because when you're in public, you keep yourself in public. When there are private matters, you talk about them in private. You don't get loud with your spouse and disrespectful in public. BK quickly gets her together in the parking lot.
Do not embarrass me at my job. We can talk or you can leave. Those are the only two options that you have.
I know that's right. There's no reason to disrespect your spouse in public. And this, for me, was the first sign of immaturity when it came to Imani. She's still in the parking lot going on and on about Tatiana, which I have to admit, she was right about her. But they could have had this conversation later. Anyway, BK was trying to get some tacos because it was Taco Tuesday. We then see BK recording himself surprising Imani with a new house. She has to clarify that this house is for her, but once she gets that clarification, she is super excited.
You got us a house?
It's our new house. She's so extra.
BK's friend Cyrus is helping them move into their new house. He's complaining a little bit about the amount of stuff that they have, and he would like some compensation for his time.
I'll charge y'all ass next time, you know that? Cause damn, y'all got a lot of shit. I mean, can a nigga get a sandwich or something, please?
We then see BK and Imani finishing up a lunch with two of BK's artists. Imani's ready to get in the car, so she asks BK for the keys and he gives them to her. On her way to get into the car, Imani hears a familiar voice behind her. It's her ex, Dre. BK's artists quickly point out that his wife is talking to another man and BK rushes over. He finds out that this is Imani's ex, Dre, and Dre off bat is being hella disrespectful to BK, calling him a square, telling Imani this is their favorite spot, pretty much telling BK that he taught Imani everything that she knows. Very disrespectful. If I was BK, I don't know if I would have kept my composure. But anyway, Imani goes to the car and there's something in the glove compartment that she wants to hide from BK. She hides it and comes back to the confrontation and pretty much starts going off on Dre. So at this point, BK returns to the car and looks for that thing that Imani hid. He then returns to the confrontation after he can't find it and pushes Imani towards the car so she can get back in the car. He then turns to Dre and pretty much tells Dre to stay away from his wife. And Dre has some sad news to tell BK.
I tell you what, just tell your wife to quit texting me.
So BK at this point is fuming. As soon as he gets in the car, he asks Imani to see her phone. He sees the text messages between Imani and Dre, and he is mad. Imani over there looking stupid like she don't know that she was texting her ex. Another sign of immaturity from her. So BK and Imani pull up to the house, and BK tells Imani to get out of the car. She asks him if he's coming in, and he says no. He needs time to go cool off. And I do not blame him, because you totally were texting your ex and you sat there and gave that man all the ammunition he needed to disrespect me. I would need my time to cool off as well. It's the next day and we see BK did not come home. Imani is worried because she hasn't heard from him and he's not answering the phone. BK stumbles in drunk and pretty much is going off on Imani about the whole Dre situation. He gets a little disrespectful as well.
But what I wasn't doing was texting my old hoes, some of which have been trying to fuck me lately.
I get it. BK is mad and he feels disrespected, and rightfully so. But I feel like that's no reason to make Imani feel lower than she already feels about the situation. I get also that it could be the alcohol speaking, but when Imani tries to make it up to him with a little grown-up time, BK goes a little too far with her, and this spooks her. He tells her that's not going to make up or repair the situation. It's the next morning, and when BK wakes up, you can tell he feels really bad about the way things went down between him and Imani. He tries to apologize to her for the situation, but she's not willing to accept that apology. And I can understand that because, to me, he went a little too far. Whether you're drunk or not, you basically need to keep your hands to yourself. We see BK returning home, and he's looking all over the house for Imani. He can't seem to find her anywhere, and when he goes to the closet to put his things away, he sees that all her clothes and possessions are missing. He quickly calls Imani and gets sent straight to voicemail. He then calls around to all of her friends, and they haven't heard or seen from her either. We then cut over to Imani and see her sitting in her car in front of a house. She's leaving a voicemail for one of her friends, but that's not the house she's at. So after leaving voicemail after voicemail and getting no response, BK is down and out and missing Imani. BK's friend Cyrus comes to check on him because he hasn't been to work. All of his co-workers and friends think he's been taken. But no, he's sitting in the house, sad and drinking, and missing Imani. Look at him, looking pitiful, a grown man sitting up there in a onesie. BK explains the situation to Cyrus and what happened the night him and Imani got into it, and the fact that she has him blocked on all her social media and she's not answering any calls or texts. Cyrus tells BK he needs to get himself together and asks for his laptop in order to track Imani down. But not before he tells BK this.
God damn, you funky as hell, bro. What the fuck? When the last time you took a shower, nigga? Yeah, you stank, nigga. I'm gonna burn my goddamn nose hairs out, man. Personal hygiene, man. Damn.
So Cyrus is able to get BK's laptop and track Imani's GPS. He asks for the ex's name, Dre, and BK gives it to him. So they're able to look up his address. Sis, you can't be that slow. Like, why would you not turn off your GPS if you're going to go ahead and block him on all social media and not answer any of his calls or messages? Like, go all the way with it. But anyway, with the address, Cyrus asks BK if he want to pull up. BK agrees, but Cyrus says he needs to take a shower first because he can't roll like that. So Cyrus and BK roll up on Dre, and Dre is a little confused on how this fool even got his address. But BK is not there for small talk. He just wants to know if Imani is at Dre's house or not. And Dre doesn't want to give him a clear answer, but does tell BK this.
I tell you this, Imani a runner. When shit get real, she out of there.
And that's real. Dre was trying to give BK the rundown on Imani, and BK wasn't trying to hear it. He was still trying to find his wife that he's still in love with. But ultimately, Dre kind of hints to BK that Imani's not here. But we know that she is. Once the coast is clear and Imani thinks BK has left, she comes out of hiding. Dre tells her if he comes back again, it's going to be a problem. So, girl, you just starting problems where there doesn't need to be a problem. And you're the reason for the whole situation as it is. Fast forward to 2 days later, and we see that Imani is still at Dre's house. She still hasn't left. But she's getting ready to leave, and she's telling Dre how the back and forth between them has to stop. That she's happily married. And Dre not trying to hear that. And I don't blame him because you're here with me. Like, make it make sense.
You so happy? What you doing here?
And that's absolutely right. Like, ma'am, stop the cap. But I feel like Imani likes the toxic love that Dre gives. Like, she likes the toxicity. And BK doesn't do that for her. BK is, quote unquote, a square, a nice guy. And she doesn't know how to handle that. While sitting down and having a conversation, we find out what really happened between Imani and Dre. While Dre takes credit for taking Imani out of the hood and putting her in a condo in the sky, Imani gives him that credit, but also gives him the credit for cheating on her and constantly putting his hands on her. And for Imani, that was the breaking point. But yet, you're here with him now and not at home with your husband, which says a lot about your breaking point. While Imani and Dre are having this conversation, we see them cut back and forth between them and BK. We see that BK is still calling and leaving message after message for Imani, and she's still not responding. While I do understand that BK did take it far, this is your marriage. This is not a boyfriend. And this further proves my point about the immaturity in Imani. Like, you would leave your husband over one incident to go back to your toxic ex who had multiple incidents. Like, I don't get that. We fast forward to 2 weeks later. Like, really, Imani, you haven't talked to your husband in 2 weeks? My point, immature. But anyway, we see Bakari entering a record store. A woman enters behind him, and while they're looking through the records, he looks over and notices her. He recognizes her as his ex, Tabitha, played by actress Tara Chantel. He says hi to her and wonders why she's there in Atlanta when she lives in Miami. She says she's there for a cover shoot she has to do, her first cover, and he's so excited for her. She says that she read online that he got married, and he proceeds to tell Tabitha about Imani. He tells her that he met her on set and they just had a connection. Tabitha offers to take BK to lunch, but he declines. He does not like the way that they ended things. Like, Tabitha just whole left BK, didn't want nothing to do with that man, like, broke his heart. He then proceeds to tell her that he'll buy her cover, get her autograph, and sell the cover on eBay. She takes a selfie with him, and then they pretty much just have a little more conversation and part ways. So we see that Imani has made it over to her friend Takara's house, basically to sleep on her couch. At this point, Imani is still not talking or responding to BK and doesn't want anything to do with him. Takara asks Imani basically the rundown of the situation.
Let me get this straight. You got a brand new, big ass house, and you still on my couch. Can you please make this shit make sense?
So Imani goes into the situation between she and BK. She pretty much lets her friend Takara know what happened with her texting Dre and how BK pretty much went in on her. But her friend Takara is a smart one and doesn't sugarcoat anything when it comes to Imani and her situation, and basically gives her the real.
Imani had a punch you in the face. Don't no married man want his girl texting no nigga.
And Takar is absolutely right. But it's the immaturity in Imani who doesn't see anything wrong with her texting her ex. Like, that is the whole cause of this whole situation. That is why BK went off. Like I said, I don't agree with what he did with Imani, but you have to take accountability for your action in this situation too. And I just feel like Imani is just making excuse after excuse and trying to put all of the blame on BK. Ugh, she is on my nerves. We then see BK out and about shooting some pool. He has some lady admirers, and one of the ladies approaches BK. They're having drinks and just having fun, enjoying each other's company when the young lady signals it's time to go. We then see it's the next day, and BK wakes up next to the young lady. We assume that they did something since they were both a little drunk, and she gave the signal of she's ready, but we're not for sure. Anyway, while he's walking the young lady out, Cyrus walks up and sees what's going on. He is in shock.
Yes. Yes.
They go into the kitchen to talk, and at first, Cyrus was a little excited for his boy. But then that quickly went away when he realized BK is still married, and he doesn't condone cheating on his wife. He lets BK know how he feels, and he thinks that Imani and BK are going to work it out. But for BK, it's a different story.
Man, come on, bro. Y'all gonna work this shit out, okay? Look, Imani just probably needed a little time to
Some
herself.
time, Cyrus? This Imani we talking about. I don't know if I want to deal with, let alone be married to a motherfucker that, what, could go 2 weeks without seeing me, speaking to me? This shit's killing me.
BK lets Cyrus know that he and the young lady did not sleep together, that they actually were too drunk and passed out. He also lets Cyrus know that he ran into his ex, Tabitha, and Cyrus is not happy about that. Cyrus pretty much thinks Tabitha is a bad influence on BK, and this is the reason that he's acting out and acting the way he is towards Imani. I don't think that's the reason at all. I just think that BK's fed up with Imani's immaturity and all this little game she's playing. We then see BK returning to work after a 2-week absence. And of course, here comes Cyrus with the jokes.
Please tell me you done crying at this jerky shit.
Good morning, Cyrus.
So Cyrus asks BK if he's spoken to Imani or are they back on good terms and is she back at the house. BK says none of that and he's just back at work because they have a lot going on and he's ready to go ahead and get back into the swing of things. Before getting back to work, BK confronts Cyrus about using the company credit card for his own personal use. Cyrus denies this, but BK reminds him he does get the credit card statements and tells him that Tatiana found a discrepancy. Cyrus is still trying to deny it, but BK knows it's him because he's still using apple martinis to try to pick up women like he's been doing since he was 21 years old. Cyrus then gets a receipt from BK and it pretty much shows proof that Cyrus was using the credit card. He then admits it and pretty much tries to tell BK, but she was bad, so he had to do what he had to do. There's a little bit of back and forth, and Cyrus asks BK if he wants the credit card back. BK says no, he just doesn't want Cyrus to use it for his personal use, and they're having a staring contest back and forth, and finally, Cyrus just gives the credit card back. After Cyrus leaves BK's office, BK receives a phone call from Imani's friend Takar. She's just calling to let BK know that Imani is fine and that she is safe. I think this is a good move. I think Takar is a good friend to Imani, but I don't think Imani sees it yet. Anyway, BK's ready to pull up and see his wife and talk to her, but Takar is against that and pretty much tells BK not to pull up.
Kari, do not pull up right now. She's not ready to talk to you. I will call you when she's ready to talk to you, okay?
We then see BK at a photo shoot for his artist with his intern Tatiana. He steps away for a moment to make a phone call, which we later find out is to Imani. His intern Tatiana goes looking for him, and we see her sneaking up behind him as he's leaving a voicemail for Imani. While BK is at his photo shoot calling Imani's phone, we see her giving herself a little pep talk at Takar's house.
Imani, we're not gonna cry today. We're not gonna listen to no voicemails. We're gonna call Jordan, get our stuff together. We're not gonna cry.
I get it. I understand that Imani is still upset. And I do agree. BK did take it too far. But sis, it's been 2 weeks at this point. Like, that's your husband. That's not a boyfriend that you're dealing with. And yeah, you have every right to be mad at the situation. But my problem with Imani is you're not taking accountability for your part in the situation. And you're trying to put it all on BK and make it all his fault. And that, again, is the immaturity that I see in her. So after eavesdropping on BK's conversation, Tatiana walks up to him just to make sure that everything's okay and lets him know that the photo shoot is ending and she needs his input on some of the shots. He agrees and said he'll be there in a minute, but she's a little too handsy for me. She's plotting and planning, and we'll see soon what she's plotting and planning. The photo shoot is over, and BK and Tatiana are the only ones left at the studio. BK is packing up his things, getting ready to leave, when Tatiana approaches him and asks him if there's anything else she can do. BK questions her on why she's there so late, being that it's a Friday night, but Tatiana responds with she's trying to focus on school and her internship. BK is headed out the door when he turns and he asks Tatiana to see the artist's bio. Tatiana hands them over to him, and he looks them over and pretty much gives her props, telling her that they're dope. At this point, Tatiana gets a little too flirty. Here she goes. She's about to put that plan into motion.
Mr. King, I got all kinds of talent.
Oh, yeah?
BK for a second does kiss Tatiana back, but pushes her away after he realizes this is not a good idea. He tells Tatiana no, that this cannot happen, but Tatiana is being persistent. She's saying, "Are you sure this can't happen?" BK just looks at her and then abruptly leaves. After BK leaves, we see that Tatiana was recording the whole encounter with him. This is where I have to give Imani her props. She was right about this girl. This girl is a snake, and she's going to get BK caught up in the end. We then see Imani meeting up with her friend Jordan, who owns a dress boutique. He asks her how is hubby doing, but Imani says she doesn't want to talk about it. But she does let Jordan know they're taking a break. Jordan is a little shocked to hear this, but he doesn't want to touch that subject with a 10-foot pole. Imani is looking to do some help around Jordan's shop, and she's trying to get back into the business of styling. Jordan says it's prom season, so you know it's about to be busy, and they get to work. We then cut over to BK being awakened from his dreams about Imani by his intern Tatiana. She has a peace offering and wants to talk to him about the situation that happened at the studio. He invites her in to talk, but not before giving her these instructions.
Oh, leave that open.
I 1000% agree with BK. Leave that door all the way open because, girl, you're shady and I don't know what other type of shady stuff you got up your sleeve. Anyway, Tatiana then sits down and she apologizes to BK for her behavior and her unprofessionalism and asks BK if they're cool.
We're cool. Because I'm not really trying to be the subject of a Me Too protest.
So after the conversation between BK and Tatiana, we cut over to Imani. She's admiring a couple on the street, and I feel as if she's missing BK a little bit. So girl, why don't you just go get your man? I mean, like I said, he took it too far, but I feel like this is a situation that you can fix. You're pushing it further and further to where it may not be fixable. We then cut over and see Cyrus in a parking garage of where he and BK work. He spots Tabitha, BK's ex, and he is not happy to see her. He asks her what she's doing there, and she says she's there to take BK to lunch. Cyrus is not happy to hear this, and this is what he has to say to Tabitha.
He is married. Leave that man alone. Why you keep playing with him like that?
Tabitha is not trying to hear that. I think that she sees that BK is successful and rising to the top, and she wants a piece of that. She wants a piece of BK before he gets too big and she no longer has a chance. She then tells Cyrus that she feels like she and BK have a celestial connection, whatever that means. She wants to feel that connection, but Cyrus has the best response for her.
That is some of the most selfish shit I done ever heard in my life, man. You try to make it sound all beautiful and hotel, but really you just said you don't give a fuck about that man's marriage.
And Cyrus is 100% correct. Tabitha doesn't care about BK's marriage. Tabitha just wants what Tabitha wants. When Cyrus reiterates that BK is married, Tabitha pretty much just says, "Oh, but I hear it's unhappy." I don't care if that man is happily married and living a fairy tale or not. The fact of the matter is he's still married, so you're trying to be a homewrecker. We then see Tabitha entering BK's office, and he's shocked to see her. He asks her what she's doing there, and she says she's there to take him to lunch, and she will not take no for an answer. We also learn that in 53 hours, Tabitha is leaving for a 15-month assignment in Tokyo and doesn't know when she'll see BK again. She asks BK again if it's okay if she takes him to lunch, and he's a little hesitant. He says he hasn't been in the office and he has a lot of work to catch up on. Tabitha is persistent and not trying to take no for an answer, so she asks, well, if you can't do lunch, can you do dinner? BK is still a little hesitant and then agrees, saying that it has to be a late dinner, like a 9 o'clock dinner. Tabitha agrees to the late dinner and says that she'll pick the restaurant. Just then, they're interrupted by Cyrus, who has something very important he needs to show BK. Cyrus then hands BK the iPad and says it's very important that he see this. Once BK opens the iPad and sees what he sees, he's in shock. We don't get to see, or we don't know what BK is looking at, but we soon find out what has him shook. We then cut over to Imani and Jordan and find out that Imani just made a big post on social media, and Jordan cannot believe it. Jordan is asking Imani, you're just gonna pretty much out your husband like this? Like you're willing to destroy his career? And here we go. The immaturity. Why does everything have to be on social media? That's something that she should have kept to herself. And her friend Jordan has great advice for her. Imani has good friends around her who have great advice that she just doesn't want to listen to. She wants to do what she wants to do and thinks she's right in every situation when she's 100% wrong.
Look, this is about me, not him. Look at my comments. They understand what I'm going through.
Girl, who? All these damn strangers?
It's the lack of accountability for me. Imani is in her own fairy tale world, and it really pisses me off because, ma'am, all these decisions you are making with posting your private information publicly is affecting your husband BK, and the fact that you are not seeing or getting that is ridiculous. Jordan then asks Imani if BK even knows about Imani's past. Imani says that her past has nothing to do with their present, which is completely wrong. BK has a right to know what his wife, not girlfriend, has been through in her past.
Look, Imani, all I know is if you would have told the man about your past, this situation probably wouldn't have never happened.
And I 1000% agree with Jordan. But again, Imani is not trying to hear it, and this is her response.
Look, my past don't have anything to do with me and him. It's none of his business. But if a background bitch can take him, he was never mine.
Jordan tells Imani, no, sis, you're giving him away. You're putting him back on the shelf for the next female looking for a come up. Imani tells Jordan, no, he's just going to have to learn a lesson about me. Girl, bye. And Jordan tells Imani, oh, I see you're just going to sit in this L, which she is because she thinks she's right. Her pride is getting in the way of her being wrong. At this point, Bakari is trying to figure out why Imani would post something online that could potentially sabotage his career. Cyrus wants to get ahead of the situation, and Bakari comes up with the idea to do an exclusive radio interview to clear things up. Cyrus then sets up the radio interview for Bakari. We then see that Bakari has left work. He's on his way to Takar's house so that he can talk to Imani face to face. On the way, he's parked in an alley, pretty much trying to find the address on his GPS, and all of a sudden, there are lights flashing behind him. It's the police. This is really the last thing Bakari needs, or BK needs at this point. But the cop in this scene is an a-hole, so I really don't want to get into this scene because this scene really teed me off. Let's just say it could have gone really bad, but a call that the cop got and had to leave pretty much saved BK's life. So BK makes it to Takara's house, and she's a little shocked to see him because she already told him not to pull up. But BK is there to talk to Imani, and once Takara opens the door, he yells for Imani, and Takara is not for all that drama.
Go home, Bakari.
Imani, come talk to me.
That's what we're not gonna do. No. Now I'm trying to help you and you fucking shit up.
Takara pretty much takes BK outside, and he's confused on why Imani is still not talking to him. He's saying he bought her this big, beautiful house. He's a good man. He takes care of her. What's the issue? Takara tries to explain Imani's past to BK and how she had an ex-boyfriend who beat her up pretty badly and put her in the hospital. BK's a little confused on why Imani never told him this, but Takara tells him she doesn't tell everybody. Takara then tells BK to go home or leave before she has to call security. Before leaving, BK yells through the door that he loves Imani, but he will not be waiting on her forever. Takara tells BK, go home and wait, and she'll call him. It's now Friday. I don't know what Friday, but a Friday. And we see BK sitting in his car taking a phone call from Cyrus. Cyrus says he's been calling trying to check on BK, and BK pretty much tells him this.
Look, yesterday, I got caught in a whole Black Lives Matter situation.
He then tells Cyrus how he feels like ever since he got promoted at work, he pretty much feels like the universe is against him. Cyrus asks, has he talked to Imani? And BK just tells him he did pull up, but Imani wouldn't come to the door. He said he had a conversation with Takara, and it was pretty deep. He then goes on to ask Cyrus about the radio interview, and Cyrus says it's set up for him, but the interview is not until Monday. BK has a problem with this because it's Friday, and he doesn't want to let this information marinate over the weekend. So we then see Tatiana at a little kickback spot, and she's talking to someone with a familiar voice, and that's Dre. Yes, Imani's ex, Dre. He's telling her how this is his homeboy's spot and that he's just pretty much the money man. He also tells her that he does dibble and dabble in rap, and Tatiana tells him that she works for a record label. He takes this as an opportunity and tells her that she's someone he needs to get to know. So we then see Imani and her friend Jordan at this little shop, and she overhears over the speakers that BK is going to be doing a radio interview. She's a little confused and didn't know that he was going to pull this off, and this completely takes over her thoughts. Her friend Jordan is talking to her, asking her about things, and she is oblivious to all of his questions. He then walks off and looks at something else, and he calls her name. Come to find out that Tabitha is in the same shop. We then cut over and see Bakari meet up with his friends for a game of basketball. Bakari then stops and tells the fellas about what happened between he and Tatiana. And Cyrus is sick.
Wait a minute. Tatiana kissed you? Huh? Yeah. Damn, man. I was gonna try to get that. Man, why you...
BK's friends give him advice and pretty much tell him, leave work women alone. They are not a good idea to mess with. So BK is already telling them that he's not trying to mess with her, and he doesn't want to be left alone with Tatiana because he does not want to end up in a bad situation with her. And I don't blame him, because I'm telling you, that girl is plotting and planning on BK's downfall. But Cyrus still can't get through his head what's really going on with BK.
Wait, I'm trying to... Let me get this straight. Okay. Tatiana kissed you, right? Okay. Tabitha pop up out of nowhere and want to take you out and shit. What you got going on, bro? Tabitha? Yeah.
We then cut back to Imani, and Tabitha is walking up to her and introducing herself as one of BK's friends from college. She tells Imani she saw what she posted online and that she pretty much supports her, and if Imani feels unsafe in her situation, she should leave. But Tabitha is plotting and scheming on BK. She wants Imani out of the way so she can have him to herself. Just a snake. We then see Dre driving to the store, and he spots BK and his friends at the basketball courts and decides to pull up on them. We then see Dre has pulled up on BK and his friends, and he asks them who gave them permission to play basketball on that court. Like he owns the court. Like, boy, stop. Anyway, he recognizes Cyrus and BK and pretty much disrespects them. BK is sick of the disrespect and gets all up in Dre's face.
On God, I'm really tired of seeing your fucking face. And I ain't gonna be too many more bitches either. Like,
What's up, then, nigga?
what's up?
Dre was about that life until he realized he didn't have that thing on him. He left it in the car. Once he realizes this, he starts backing off and his demeanor changes. He tells BK and his friends he better not catch them on the court again, but they not trying to hear it, and Dre leaves. Once Dre gets back to his car and sees that he left his thing in it, oh, he is mad. He feels like BK got the best of him. After the altercation with Dre, BK decides he's going to shoot an Instagram video to get in front of this whole Imani drama.
What's going on, Instagram, family and friends? I just wanted to come and first and foremost thank you for all the love, all the support, all the comments. It's been a really rough 24 hours, but no need to worry. Monday morning, I'll be on 96 Jams. Make sure you tune in for that. I'll be setting the record all the way straight.
It's now Sunday and BK is reminiscing on Imani. He's looking at old videos, he's thinking about her and just really missing her. He is better than me because this girl has pretty much single-handedly, for me, ruined her marriage. Not only were you texting your ex, then you went ghost on your husband, then you posted something online that you should have kept private. I could not. I would be done with Imani. Once I found her, she would be getting divorce papers. So it's Monday, and we see BK arrive at the radio station for his interview. He knows the radio host personally, so they're getting all caught up, and she's not wanting to believe what she's been reading online about her friend. They then go on air, and she pretty much reads verbatim what Imani posted. And this is the first time in the movie that we know exactly what was said. Everyone at this point is listening to the radio broadcast, and here's just a snippet of what BK had to say.
My wife is telling the truth. I did lose my temper, and I did touch her in a way that was too aggressive. What I should have done was, just talked, communicated, asked questions.
After saying what he had to say, Bakari then pleads with Imani over the radio to come home and how much he loves her. And he explains he's saying this in front of the world. The radio host says, Imani, he is a good man. He's a good man, Savannah. You should go home to him. And he's too fine to be single. Bakari says he's not answering any questions or taking any phone calls. So the radio host thanks him for coming to the station, even though he's leaving all of her callers on hold. We then cut over to Imani sitting in her car, taking a phone call from one of her friends. Her friend wants to know why she has to hear about all this drama through social media and over the radio, and why Imani hasn't reached out to her or answered any of her phone calls or texts. She then says that she heard from Takar that Imani was over at Dre's house, and Imani has to clear things up.
And y'all call me messy. Let me clear this shit up real quick. I did not sleep with Dre. I crashed over there a couple days because I knew BK would be calling all the hotels and shit.
Yeah, okay. Make yourself believe what you want to believe. But Imani then confides in her friend that she's been feeling a little off and she thinks she might be pregnant. She hasn't taken the test yet, but her friend gives her some sound advice.
Well, take the test before you start stressing, because if you are pregnant, we're going to have to kill all this little drama. It's not good for the baby. And let me get on my mama shit. It was dumb for you to make that post. I mean, he's still your husband and now possibly your baby daddy.
And another one. How does Imani have all of these good friends around her giving her all this sound advice and she just does not want to listen? She gets mad with her friend, pretty much still not taking any accountability for what she's done, and gets off the phone with her abruptly. Like, if you don't want to hear the truth, you just need to be by yourself. We then see thirsty Tabitha making her way into BK's office. She says there's no hard feelings for BK standing her up, but BK says he had a lot going on. She says she saw the post and she heard the radio interview and feels like BK is not that person. He says thanks, at least somebody recognizes that that's not him. Tabitha then asks BK how long he and Imani had been together. She then goes on to a story where they had met up and had some margaritas and went back to her hotel and had an intimate time all afternoon long. But BK seems to remember that story a little bit different.
Because I remember going to sleep and waking up to a note and you leaving me, ghost, again, and some Polaroid of me sleeping.
That's when BK tells Tabitha that that's the day he decided to propose to Imani, because he knew anything that was between him and Tabitha was completely done. At this point, Tabitha looks a little hurt. She then comes up with the excuse of she had an early flight and didn't want to wake BK. She says that she's sorry and still wants to be his friend. At this point, BK is tired. He's tired of being nice, and he's tired of this back and forth game between he and Tabitha. He tells her he doesn't want to be her friend and that she really hurt him. And this is where we get a flashback.
I haven't stopped smiling since the first day we met. And no woman has truly ever made me happy. And honestly, I've never felt this way about anyone before.
Okay.
Just let me finish.
We then see that BK proposed to Tabitha, but she told him to let her think about it. Like what? Let you think about it? Sis, it's a yes or a no. But anyway, they go home and go to sleep, and the next morning, Tabitha leaves BK a note and pretty much says that she can't do it and ghosts him. And I believe that this is what broke BK's heart. I just don't understand why he keeps letting Tabitha back in. Tabitha is still trying to seduce BK. She pretty much just says she sees in him what his wife doesn't. And BK just wants to know what Tabitha wants from him. She says she just wants BK to be there for her like she's always been. But he says he's married now. And she says that's what scares her. So basically, you just want him to be there when you want him, not to have a full relationship with him. Thirsty Tabitha, please take several seats. When BK pretty much just confronts Tabitha about her wanting him to be her security blanket, she pretty much just tells him she's not going to apologize for choosing herself first. But she does still want BK, and she will always be there for him. At this point is when she kisses BK, but he doesn't push her away. As BK and Tabitha are beginning to get intimate in his office, Tatiana walks in without even knocking. She's a little upset by what she sees, and Tatiana, the blackmailer, actually decides to record BK and Tabitha so she has a little leverage on her side. We then see Tatiana getting invited to a 4th of July kickback while she's on her way to our favorite F-boy house, Dre. While Dre and Tatiana are kicking it, Dre asks Tatiana if she told her boss about him yet. She says yes, and she actually invites him to the 4th of July kickback and says her boss is going to be there. Trifling. But then again, she doesn't know that BK and Dre have beef yet. So, gotta give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. It's the 4th of July, and the first thing we see is BK coming out of the house. He goes to check the mail, and in the mail is a check. And that check got a whole lot of zeros. We then cut to Imani taking a pregnancy test. And once she looks at the results of the test, I can assume by her face that, yeah, she's pregnant. Even though right now in the movie, we don't really know for sure. We then see BK is out and about getting all ready for tonight's festivities or the 4th of July kickback. While BK is out, Imani makes her way to his house to leave a little present in the mailbox for BK. We then see BK arrive at his friend Kirk's house for his annual 4th of July kickback. Kirk's wife is a trip. Like, girl, mind the business that pays you. She keeps asking BK all these questions about Imani and did he do it and did this and did that. Yo, Kirk, get your wife in check. She was doing way too much. So BK makes it over to Cyrus and his other friend, and they pretty much want to know what the situation was between BK and Kirk's wife. He just lets them know that she was grilling him and that he's pretty much tired of talking about the situation and he's ready for it to just blow over. Cyrus then tells him the good news about the sound scans from BK's upcoming artist, but BK kind of blows it off. BK's friend asks, where are the females at this party? It's looking like a bit of a sausage fest. BK pretty much says he doesn't want anything to do with women at this point. Him and Imani were good, but now she's gone. Tatiana has him walking on eggshells around the office. And Tabitha, he gives them the rundown on Tabitha and how he almost cheated with her. He said he was almost there, but Tatiana buzzed him and said she needed him somewhere else in the office. So he didn't cheat. Cyrus pretty much says he knew Tabitha was going to try something. BK is telling his friends how Tabitha was stroking his ego, but it took Tatiana calling him, telling him she needed help to snap him back into reality. But his friend says this.
I say you might as well show what the fuck you got.
Okay.
Straight up. Lance, because I'm not trying to play those games no more. Case in point, why I got married? Man, well, your wife seems to be playing all the games right now, so...
You know what,
I'm not gonna lie. I do agree with BK's friend. Like, Imani is playing all the games in the world with BK. But I don't agree that BK should cheat on Imani with Tabitha. That I do not agree with. At this point, Cyrus says he has no more advice or no more energy to give to this situation. Everything he thought about Imani was completely wrong, and he's giving up to God at this point. Bakari says he forgot his phone in the car, so he's going to head down and get it. Little does he know there will be a surprise waiting for him once those elevator doors open. Then we see Tatiana arrive to the 4th of July party with F-Boy of the Year, Dre. Little does she know he and BK do not get along at all, so it's about to go down. The elevator door opens and BK is shocked to see that Tatiana has arrived to the party with Dre. BK asks Tatiana what she's doing with him, and Dre asks, do you know him? And Tatiana is completely confused because she doesn't know that BK and Dre have beef. Tatiana is still confused, not knowing that Dre and BK know each other. Pretty much, Dre gets all up in BK's face and says, you don't have your crew with you now, so what's up? But they're interrupted by a security guard who's trying to see if there's a problem. They say they're just talking, and he tells them to wrap it up and walks off. Once the officer leaves, BK pretty much tells Tatiana that Dre is not welcome there. She says that Cyrus invited her, and BK says he's not going to repeat himself or go to jail behind Dre. Tatiana ignores what BK has to say and pretty much says that they're going upstairs. This is when BK tells Tatiana not to jeopardize her position in the company for Dre, pretty much. Then Tatiana has this to say to BK.
You should worry about your position.
BK blatantly ignores what Tatiana had to say and basically tells her, if you take him upstairs, you're fired. At this point, blackmail Tatiana is ready to show BK those receipts she has on him.
You might want to rethink that.
Yo, you been recording me? So what's your plan? What, blackmail me or something?
Blackmail is such an ugly word.
So at this moment, BK gets Tatiana all together. He pretty much tells her to send the video, send it to the blogs, send it to the label heads, and if they fire him, oh well, he'll start his own label because he's built for this. But he does have one message for her that Tatiana really needs to think about.
My reputation's in the toilet anyways, so send it to the blogs. I can handle it. But the question is, do you have the heart for the backlash, little girl?
And just like that, Tatiana is done. She was playing a game with the big boys and she was still an amateur. BK got her all the way together. He warned her one more time, if she takes Dre upstairs, she's fired. And then, you know what? He had a change of heart and just went ahead and fired her on the spot.
Oh!
It's the next day and we see BK checking his mailbox. He sees the present that Imani left in the mailbox, of course her pregnancy test, and he opens it. He looks at the results and he pretty much confirms to us that Imani is pregnant. After seeing the pregnancy test, we see BK call Imani. He's begging her to come back home, seeing that she's pregnant, and says that she will be safe with him. We then see Imani make her way back to the house and BK welcomes her back with no questions asked. He's really truly a good man.
Count up blue binges for you and me.
And with that is the end of the movie. And with that, I would give this movie a 8.5 out of 10. I do feel like it could have been cut down from 2.5 hours to maybe an hour and a half, hour 45. A lot of the scenes with dialogue were a bit long-winded and really didn't add much to the story. I love the character development, like you knew the background story of each and every character in the movie. I love the camera shots and the drone shots of the city. It was absolutely beautiful and put together very nicely. Now on to the characters. Mr. Bakari was a perfect guy. I feel like Imani pushed him to a certain point to where he had one slip up and she held it over his head and held it against him. He was trying to be the perfect husband for her and she just wasn't trying to see that or didn't want to see that. She liked the toxicity. Imani was completely immature. She took no accountability for her actions and didn't feel like she was wrong in the situation. She thought this was all on BK. Dre was just a complete F-boy altogether. He just wanted to get under BK's skin, basically, or get the toxic relationship back with Imani. Thirsty Tabitha, she wanted BK back bad. I feel like she was a distraction in his life and she needed to go. And he needed to let her go. She would ghost him and come back and ghost him and come back. And he needed to go ahead and put an end to that. Cyrus was a friend. He really tried to protect BK and he really wanted BK's marriage to work. But in the end, Cyrus just washed his hands of the whole situation. Then you got blackmail Tatiana. She thought that she could get away and make a way for herself by blackmailing people in the industry. Girl, no. Hard work and dedication. And she had the knowledge of the job, so she really just effed herself up out of a permanent position. And Takar, I feel like pretty much all of Imani's friends were great friends. Takar, Jordan, they all told her the real, but Imani just didn't want to hear it. Imani wanted to do what Imani wanted to do. And so that's my review. And don't forget, all of the movies I review on my channel are free to watch on Tubi. So please go support all of these artists and their work. Don't just always take my word for it. Form your own opinion. And again, don't forget to like, comment down below your opinion or any movies you'd like me to watch, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye y'all.